Well, Hurricane Harvey is continuing to gain strength as it makes its way towards the Gulf Coast. And now forecasters say that it may become a Category 3 storm, making it the strongest hurricane to hit the United States since Wilma in 2005. Texas is expected to be hit first with winds up to 125 miles per hour at landfall. The slow-moving storm is expected to bring more than 2 feet of rain. It could hang over this region for at least a few days, up until Tuesday. In Galveston, there are growing concerns about high tides and heavy rain. And now officials are encouraging people who live in low-lying areas to evacuate. The orders aren't mandatory yet, but in Corpus Christi, residents have been stocking up, filling sandbags and boarding up windows before Harvey hits. Ed Rappaport is deputy director of the National Hurricane Center, where a new advisory has just come out. He joins us now from Miami. Ed, what can you tell us? Where is this storm heading exactly, and who's likely to be affected the most?
Yeah, at this hour, the storm is centered about 300 miles to the southeast of Corpus Christi. You were just mentioning them, and it's moving towards the north-northwest about 10 miles per hour. So if you take that forward, we expect that the center of the hurricane will be approaching the Texas coast on Friday night. But the conditions will deteriorate ahead of that. In fact, by tomorrow morning, the weather will start to get rough there. And for that reason, we're urging everyone to complete their preparations this evening and tonight.
Hey, this isn't the first time, Ed, that Texas has been hit by a major storm. Back in 2008, Hurricane Ike slammed this region. How do you think that this storm will compare to Ike?
Well, for one, this is going to come ashore in a different place than Ike. And so they have not had a significant hurricane like this in the risk area, which is Corpus Christi north and south, in many years. And in fact, if the forecast turns out to be right, this will be the strongest hurricane to hit Texas in almost 50 years. Hurricane Celia in 1970 would have been the last one at about this intensity.
Do we have a sense out of when this storm is expected to slow down, and what does it mean when a storm actually slows down?
The storm will be slowing as it nears the coast, and there's good and bad news in that. By slowing, it gives a little more time for preparation. But the bad news is that it also means that it can linger in any one place longer, and that's particularly bad for rainfall, and that's why we're seeing our forecast from the National Weather Service of 15 to 25 inches, locally 35 inches, because the storm will be sitting probably very close to the Corpus Christi area for a day or longer.
That's a whole lot of rain, and as you mentioned, storm surge is a major concern for these residents. So if you're in this area, how should you be preparing for a hurricane like this?
You're right. A storm surge is the first concern in terms of at least the timing. We do expect that surge of 6 to 12 feet in the area that's near and to the right or to the east, northeast of where the center comes ashore. That's where the flow is onshore. And with 6 to 12 feet and dangerous waves on top, that is a life-threatening situation. So we do encourage people to go away from the water, whether it's at the coast from storm surge or in low-lying areas and inland parts of the South Texas due to the rainfall.
As you watch this, Ed, what's your biggest concern right now for the folks in Texas?
Biggest concern is flooding. It always is. 90% of the deaths in hurricanes are due to flooding, with most of those due to storm surge, and that's the initial threat we have, and then most of the rest of those due to excessive rainfall, freshwater flooding.
Flooding, such a big concern, 90% of deaths. All right, Ed Rappaport, thank you very much for joining us from Miami, Ed.
Thank you.